Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zuko Painting for session number 2. Unfortunately I forgot to record the first session, but yeah, the joys of starting streaming. Here's the guy that we did last time on the stream, who turned out pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with him. So I think today we'll start on a second one of him. Probably do a couple hours of stream, and then I'll jump off and I'll probably do some gaming. So for those that were on yesterday, probably see that there's some changes. So I've kind of fiddled about. I've actually got a second camera. So now I've got the first camera I had yesterday is now my palette camera. So you can see that a bit better. And then we'll have, hopefully this is a higher quality camera. Still really on the cheap side, but a bit more expensive, so I'm hoping that means the model's a bit easier to see. It's still quite hard to see on the pure white, however the focus does seem to be a lot better. But you can let me know how that looks and once we get started. I've put the quality down, well it's about 2K at the moment. I did have it at 4K, but it almost looked like it stuttered a bit on my end. So it probably most definitely stuttered on your receiving end, but let me know how the 2K looks. That's probably easier to do that. If I start moving about quite fast, is it laggy? Is it, you can see alright? With the old camera I kind of had to constantly hit the focus button when I moved closer. So but yeah, I think we'll just jump right in. As I said, this is the second stream. If you're on Twitch, you'll notice that this will be the first one. I forgot to hit the button that saves your streams, at least for 14 days, so you can go back and watch them. So we're just getting started, but yeah, I'm just pretty, you can kind of see almost I've got the same sort of paints, or the same paints on my palette that I used yesterday. There's a smorgasbord of colours here, and we'll see how dry. The weather's extremely hot, so we'll see how dry these paints are, if they've dried in. I did put some extra water in here. I also updated the viewer slideshow as well, so I've put like the names of the people that updated things. Slight blur when you move. Hopefully that's not too bad. I shouldn't be throwing the models about when I'm painting, but see, I do have quite crappy internet, so we'll see how it comes out. Okay, this is solid, so I'm just going to replace this. I'll try not play any sports on the camera. I could also set up my other camera, have a third camera and just have the cat cam. I could move the palette camera every now and then if maybe like when I get my followers up high enough and I can start unlocking like bits and stuff, and people can, or like the wee points that people earn just for viewing. And I can have like a show us the cat and get the little cat cam on. He's sleeping at the moment. So as I said, we're pretty much going to make a start on what we did yesterday to continue Tiger Man. I think we called him Terry. We've got Tony and Terry, so we'll need to get another name for this one. We've got 3 of these ones in total. Long live Terry, indeed. So I'm going to see if I swap this. So this is my top corner, but it's the bottom corner on there. Let's flip this around. Nope. Almost, I think, on this one. There we go. That's relatively. And I got paint all over the top of the camera, which is great. I think I don't have Frosties, but I have off-brand Frost Tweeties, so that can be what he is. It's not even Frosties, off-brand Frosties. He's advertising off-brand stuff. Right, just going to start with the skin. We'll do what we did last time, obviously because I didn't save the stream, which isn't ideal. So I'm going to start with the skin. What I did last time is I did the base colours for all the parts of the model, just so it appears in the camera a bit easier, because the all white doesn't quite work. So my first colour is yellow ochre, and I did explain a bit that you can use Games Workshop paints. I would like to use Games Workshop paints, but I'm coming back to the hobby after a couple of years break, and most of my paints sat in the garage, so for a couple of Scottish winters they got pretty solid, so a lot of them froze and unfroze and then froze again, so they're pretty much dead. So I'd probably use Towlight Ochre, which is a lot darker, and then build from this dark up to the kind of a brighter orange. But we're going to start with yellow ochre instead, so that's the Vallejo one. And I'm just watering it down slightly as well, because I've got a nice white base coat. I want it nice and watery, so it'll probably take 2 layers, but that's generally my breakfast or my snacks when my crisps are too far away, when I'm like, oh, I have to go all the way across the room to get crisps. I'm like, that's too much effort, I'm just going to eat frosty Tweeties out the box like a true gentleman. How you doing, Seafire? Are you alright? You need to get some of your models on the hobby slideshow. And let's see if I've got any better at trying to keep the model actually in camera. This camera should be a bit easier to do as well. It's got a bit of a wider lens. It's a bit further away from the model, so the other one I was kind of, the palette one, it's quite a bit closer to the surface, so trying to squeeze around that was a bit more awkward, but I don't have the problem with this one as much, which is always nice. Yeah, it's far too hot. Far too hot. Doesn't help that like having my painting lights and stuff on there. I was roasting last night even though it wasn't that warm outside. So I'm going to be very warm, so I'll do a couple hours on stream I think today. If I can make it that far without dehydrating. I do actually have a drink this time, so that helps. I did what, 6 hours? It's like 6 hours 20 minutes or something yesterday, and I didn't have a break. But that's what I do with painting. I enjoy it, I just kind of lose track of time. I wasn't going for a marathon or anything. It is too hot, Kovac. You enjoying it? You think it's a bit better? I was just footering about with it. I set up the Discord as well, just with some instructions for like the slideshow. So you can pretty much put landscape photos in it, but you just need to crop them. Sorry, portrait, but you need to crop them to landscape. And then if people just put like their own wee name in it, I did it with the ones that we got yesterday, but then that way I can just put them straight onto the stream as they come in. I think each stream I'll just try and add a bit of quality of life. So we've got the Discord up the top now as well. Yeah, I get my finger in the camera. Discord up here. And then I've got like obviously Zuko painting, and I'll have just what we're painting or doing in each session maybe there. Like if I start putting them up on YouTube or whatever, then people can see what we're doing on stream. And I also got another camera, which Amazon delivered within 1 day. So this is a new camera that I'm painting with, and the one that I was using yesterday is this palette camera. So I've put the quality of this one down a bit, but it seems to focus a lot better than what the other one did, especially if I move it up closer and stuff. I say that, and now it doesn't focus. But most of the changes that I made just to the interface of the stream is pretty much what you guys suggested in the first stream, so always open to any feedback, what you'd like to see, what you hate. Unfortunately, if you hate my painting, that's not something I can change easily. You just have to deal with my painting. Focus isn't great, is it? There's an option for S and C for the autofocus. I don't know the difference. Let's turn it to C and see what that does. Seems okay. Yeah, I think I'll probably be doing most of my distance here. I might move it a bit closer, depending on where I kind of find it comfortable to paint. Because I actually want you to see like where I'm painting and stuff, and then I can just press the button if I move it up close, and I can be like press the button for a kind of manual focus if I'm trying to show off his face or whatever. I think what it is trying to do is like focus on the numbers in the background. Could be that I need a different type of, like a more plain cutting mat. But we'll work this out as we go. Is anyone painting? Or planning to paint tonight? That sounds like a good plan. I'll join you in some Vermintide. That's a bit less exciting. Go back. Well, as a fire engineer, hopefully people try and set your stuff on fire and fail. Is that not the goal? Or they set stuff on fire, but as long as that fire doesn't spread across your stuff. Kinda seems like a cool job. I was gonna say, I think I saw the skin, have I missed anything, but yet again, got it almost passing up on the tail. What, setting things on fire? Yeah, if they're combustible, it'll be cool. If they're like, nah, this is not combustible, and someone just try to light something on fire. Not as ideal. Okay, so I think I've done all the skin now, so I'm going to move on to the base coat of the armour. I apologise for those that were in the stream yesterday, but you get to hear what I'm going to do again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use dark aluminium. This Vallejo airbrush colour. Now, the main reason I'm using this is because I like how that it's already kind of watered down for me. I think it mixes quite well with what I will be using in Incubi Darkness, so I kind of want a bluish tinge, like it's on these models, which I really liked. I was just trying it out the first time and actually really like it, so I'm going to carry it across all my models. So, I'm going to use dark aluminium. However, if you've got Games Workshop paints, lead belcher, or any kind of gunmetal paint, it almost doesn't matter. You'll find that a lot of the people that are watching streamers and stuff, they're like, yeah, this is what I'm using, they go off. It really doesn't matter if you're kind of using a darker, almost your gunmetal. So I mean, even if you've got like one of the gunmetal army painter ones, you've got lead belcher, they're all roughly the same, you'll give you the same results. The main reason I like this one is it's a much bigger bottle, and it's about the same price, if not a bit cheaper. So I get my money's worth with this one. And because I water down my paint so much anyway, Aluminium. Aluminum. You'll find that you won't like the pronunciation of even words that I'm supposed to say correctly. I'll say things wrong all the time. And if you tell me you don't like my pronunciation of a certain word, I'll go out my way to say it wrongly every time to annoy you even more. So the metal colour, the aluminium. I don't even know what one it is now that you don't like me saying. Tell me what one it is you don't like me saying, and then I can keep saying it that way. Yeah, I'll just kill you on Vermintide. I'm going to mix the Incubi Darkness in as well. And this will give me this blue hue into the silver. And I can pretty much control how blue I like it, or how much more silvery I want. Pull more silver in. So this bottom side of it here is a lot more silvery than it is blue, and I think this is where I want to go for. If I want to add more of a blue tinge, then I can do that. If I was using lead belcher, I would be using more water to get it this consistency, but you can kind of see how watery it is just by how easy I can move the paint around. And you'll find that most of my painting I use quite watered down paints, just because lots of thinner coats is good. Takes more time, so if you want to be lazy you could put it on a bit thicker, but if I make mistakes I can do lots and lots of coats and it doesn't remove the details of the models, so that's looking quite nice. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, that one's that kind of lead belcher with the wee kind of blue in it. It makes it almost look like a really low quality iron. And I'm just being careful not to get any on the skin where we've painted. Doesn't make a big difference if you do get some on it, because we've still got more layers to do on the skin. And it's one of the advantages of doing all the base coats. One, you can see where all the colours that you have to paint go. But if you've still got more layers to put on top of it, then it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake. Oh, I spot me dinner, yeah! Thank you, dear. It goes on quite smooth when it's so watery, which is nice. And it doesn't use up any of the detail like it would if it was much thicker. She sneaked in with chicken, it looks like chicken nuggets. Kind of chicken tenders. I think she's still too shy to appear on a stream yet. Give it time. How's the focus with me just kind of moving it around constantly? Do you find it's still dropping out of focus? What I'm going to do is I'm going to try moving the camera in a little bit, see how that does. See if that works a bit better. Finish off the body armour before I move to the next bit, because I'll end up forgetting bits, missing bits. And I'm going to make this wee bit slightly darker by adding a bit more of the Incubi darkness in, because it's under the arm, so this will be more naturally shaded. Yeah, it won't make a big difference, but little subtle differences can really bring out a model. And while I'm using a darker colour, I'll do this side. I'll do the underside of the gauntlet as well. Really nice, just chilling to the music. I'm not really doing anything too exciting, too noteworthy apart from what I've already explained, so if you guys are quite happy to just sit and listen to the music and me not talking in the middle, if you prefer having those kind of silence bits, or if you want me just to keep talking about random stuff, we can do both. I can talk for days. If it gets you in the mood to do hobby, if you're sitting eating your dinner and you're like, I really want to just sit and do some hobby after dinner, then that's the right vibes that I'm wanting to give out. Either people sit and do hobby with us, or sit and wish they were doing hobby with us, just have it on in the background. Or just come and procrastinate with us. No worries, Kovac. I'm probably only going to do a couple hours tonight anyway. I think we're going to play some Vermintide later on. Maybe save the 6 to 8 hour ones for weekends. But enjoy your dinner. This gauntlet's almost a bit more silvery than the bluish than the other places, which I don't mind having them almost a different colour, like different pot plates, so probably use different qualities of iron and stuff. But if you were doing something like maybe Stormcast or Space Marines or what, and you would probably want it quite uniform because they'll have big production lines and they'd obviously use higher quality metals. With Beastmen, doesn't matter if it's all random kind of shades. Six to 8 hours. No, 6 to 8 hours. I mean, I can go a while without a break, but maybe not 60 hours. 6 to 8 hours without a break. Although I think the main Warhammer channel, the Games Workshop channel, is doing like a painting marathon. If I just do a pure 6 to 8 hour painting spree, I think that would be more of a marathon than they're doing, but I haven't really checked into what they're doing. Don't know if they're just like swapping different casters and doing all those employee rights things where they're entitled to breaks and all that nonsense. You don't get that here. I'll have a break when they have to wheel me to hospital because my bladder's full. And I set up a Twitch for Zuko Gaming as well, but I don't know if I'm there yet to do 2 streams. But I've set it up. I've got the option in the future. Because the reason I was thinking about doing streaming, I was playing Age of Empires 4 and was really enjoying it. and I was like, oh, I'll try streaming a bit. I thought I'll start a new hobby as well, and I thought streaming will be a bit of hobby. And I streamed a couple of Age of Empire 4 games. I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible. I done a tournament and I got to the quarterfinals, mainly because I won one of my games by default. The guy just didn't show up, so that was like the bare minimum that I scraped to the quarterfinals. And then it was actually, I didn't do this on stream, but there was like the Age of Empires 4 like kind of streaming channel. It was like a low level player tournament, and they decided the first game of mine that they would stream as the quarterfinal, and it was just me getting absolutely hammered. And obviously I wasn't on the stream, but they were sitting giving me like, oh, this is what Zuko should do here, and this is what you should do there. But actually, like in the middle of the game, I was just flailing about. He's like, oh, he's got too much wood, he's saving up his wood, he should be spending that on more production buildings to get more spearmen out, to push them back, and I'm just sitting there trying to wrangle sheep. The whole point of this story, and you'll realise that I do go on mad random tangents, is it was quite stressful. And some people would probably want to see me just be stressed for a whole stream. But I don't think I could do that for as long as what I could do painting for. This is nice and relaxing. And I've got a bit of skill with painting. I'm not the greatest painter, but I can paint good tabletop quality minis, which I'm quite happy with. Again, I spoke in the previous stream that I feel like there's kind of two routes in painting. I'm going to have a wee break and eat some chicken while I explain this. Kind of two routes in painting. You can go down one route, which you get better and better and better at painting, and you can stay down that route for days, years, well, days to years, days, months, years, and keep going down that without even touching the second route, and you can get the golden demon if you're an absolute artist and amazing. And if I kept going down that, I'd probably get better painting, but I'm also a bit too lazy for doing that, so I kind of got better at painting, kept going, got to a stage where I'm like, I'm really happy with how my models are looking on the tabletop. And then I go down the second route, which is getting faster and faster at painting. So like picking up little techniques, learning about production lines and all that sort of thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm happy with the quality of my models. They're probably not going to get much better quality wise. They still a bit. Practice makes perfect, and they will get better and better the more I paint. But focusing on getting faster, so I can get armies of good quality, tabletop quality minis out. So that's how I kind of feel the way of learning to do the hobby is, and I've kind of got pretty good, or a standard that I'm happy with, and then kind of worked on production lines and getting more of these, getting minis out faster to a better quality, or more of my army to that quality. Munching some chicken at the moment. I mute my headset while eating because no one wants to hear me chomping away. Unless you want to hear me chomping away, some people might be into that. But I'll go for default for no unless otherwise stated. low quality cat cam for the moment. Yeah, I was just showing off some models without saying anything while chomping chicken. And now we've got the cat on the stream. He's taking over while I'm having a break. Dexter lives like a king. Absolute giga chad. Look at him, this is him looking for more now. How is the music and the microphone volume? Is it roughly the same as what it was yesterday? I just assumed all the settings would be the same, but I don't know if I'm loud or if the music's louder or what. Me done, just gonna give my hands a wee wipe. So I don't want greasy models. Actually affects how the paint goes on the model and stuff. You had enough. Here, 15 minutes of fame. If I'm not paying him in chicken, he doesn't go on the camera, that's what he says. Yeah. Yeah, I'll need to switch this back as well because I had to flip it around. Yeah, that's right. Back to painting some armour. Don't exactly know how effective armoured sandals are, but these guys are rocking them either way. One thing I'll need to get is a herdstone. I think Beastmen are supposed to be using them. I'll need to pick one of them up and paint one of them. That'll be something different. So if you're new to the stream or tuning in on one of the playbacks, I'm not sure if I'll put this on YouTube or what yet, but if you're wondering where the model's from, it's One Page Rules. So the One Page Rules basically makes simplified rules, which are still in depth enough for good games, for 40k, fantasy, kill team, all the major kind of Games Workshop games. But they also have Patreons that do STL files for 3D printing. So this is one of their 3D printed models. I don't have a 3D printer myself, but my brother, who is Kovac in the chat, he's printed it off for me. And basically I saw this model and I was like, that's cool, I want it. And you can't just have a random model, so I want it means I want that in a large part of an army, so here we are. Basically that model was what got me back into the hobby, so I've been in the hobby for on and off for 20 years or so, which is scary. I always remember when I started and you hear people say, oh, I've been in the hobby 20 years, and you're like, you old man. And now I'm an old man. But I haven't really done much hobby until yesterday's stream. And the day before that is when I painted the red caped tiger. So one of the last few days I've kind of got back into the hobby. And because, as I said earlier, like I was kind of getting into streaming with gaming, I was like, well, if I'm going back into the hobby, I'll do it on the stream. I procrastinate really badly when I paint. I'll do like that skin, and then I'll just sit on my phone for 3 hours, and I'll be like, yeah, that'll do, and I'll go off. So I'll do a stream, and then people online will watch me paint and shout at me if I try and procrastinate. Seemed like a good idea at the time. So there's just a wee bit of support left in between the axe head and the shaft, so I'm just going to cut them off. If this was in a more prominent place, I'd probably like go over it with white again before painting it. But no one's really going to see in there, and once I do a coat of silver, which is quite a dark colour anyway, it should be alright. Just going to have a wee once over and see if I can see any other supports. I think we got most of them the first go round. I'm going to do the axe handles, or the kind of hilt. That's still not right, but the bits that's holding the blade, I'm going to do them a bit more tealy. That's not tealy enough. And then I'll do the handle a bit more silvery, just so there's a bit of contrast and a bit of change. It makes the model stand out a bit more, rather than having lots of the same colour side by side. Same on the other side. No worries. Enjoy the dog walkies. Okay, and then I'm going to do a bit more silver with a hint of the teal. Incubi darkness on the blade. I think quite a lot of beginner painters as well, and I know I was the same, when you're kind of just doing your base coats, you do all your base coats and think, wow, I'm really bad at painting, doesn't look good. Because I mean, at the moment, if you look at this, it looks weird, looks crappy, but it's just the base coats. What you'll find is the start of the model doesn't look great, you're laying the foundations. Foundations of a house will look crappy as well, but a good base coat, getting an idea of how your miniature is going to be built on top of that, this is what gives you a great miniature. And you'll see, even just doing the kind of first wash and stuff, the first shade that we put in this miniature will start to really start bringing out some of the details, but it isn't really until the last parts of the model, the last stages, the highlights, or the later layers, where a model really starts to pop. But it can be quite easy to kind of lose steam with your model as you're kind of doing these bits, so you're just doing base coats, especially if you're doing a production line. Say if you're doing like 5 or 6 of these models, or you've got like a horde unit and there's like 30 of them, and you feel like you're just doing this base coat for days and days and you don't feel like you're really getting anywhere with your model. It's not until your model starts looking cool where you're like, I'm enjoying painting this part of the model now because it's looking awesome. But when it looks like this, you're like, I'm crap at painting. So if you're like that, and I definitely used to be, don't get discouraged. Don't be like me. think that's all the metal. I'm just going to go once round and double check. Doesn't matter if I double check, there will be a bit of a miss that I'll find later on. Okay, next up we're going to do the wood, the straps and the bandages, all with a base colour of a nice dark brown. And my dark brown of choice is, if I can find it, dried bark. I just think it goes on really nice. Just a nice colour, easy to work with. And it's got a lot of variety, especially obviously the straps will be kind of brownish when they're doing that. And the bandages will start to look a bit more, and if there's bones and stuff, I'd start with this. Basically anything that's getting built up lighter colours or brown colours look really good with dried bark base. I'm just going to water it down just a tad. Some of my paints are a wee bit pre-watered. You'll notice I've got them in droppered bottles. Mainly, the main reason I've got them in dropper bottles is because in the Games Workshop pots, I'll use about half the pot and then knock it over. And when you're wasting half of a pot, and the Games Workshop paints are quite expensive, as well as the clothes that I knock it over, becomes quite an expensive mistake. And it becomes an expensive hobby just through the fact that I'm a clumsy oaf. So I like the dropper bottles. One, because I use the wet palette, nice and easy to drop it in rather than using your brush to pick out some paint and stuff. But I can't knock it over. But you'll notice that I've kind of got a mix of Games Workshop paints and Vallejo, and there's some other ones as well. I pretty much owned, at one point when I was in the hobby a couple of years ago, I pretty much owned nearly every Games Workshop colour. I just like sticking to the same kind of paint, know what I was working with. If you were following guides, a lot of guides were mainly in Games Workshop colours, which I enjoyed, so I stuck with Games Workshop. But I moved house a couple of years ago, and basically that's when I kind of started my latest hobby break. It was probably a couple of years of hobby break, and all my paints went in the garage, which is outside, and a lot of the paints did not survive the Scottish winters. So I've picked up some Vallejo, they're cheaper, already in dropper bottles. It saves me putting them into dropper bottles. I have ordered some new Games Workshop paints because I would quite like to try out the new contrasts. I'd like to try out the old contrasts, might I add, the old and the new contrasts, because I've not even tried any of the contrasts. I've always been quite a layer painter, so, and I've seen a lot of videos on these contrast paints that just look amazing. Even if I'm doing a contrast and then putting my layers on top of it, because it's pretty much showing you where to paint. A lot of the time you'll see like nice light areas and dark areas, and you know, cool, there's the areas I need to highlight, there's the areas I need to shade. And that applies to my hobby part of the tree, where I talk about doing things faster and easier. And you know what? Sometimes it's even faster, easier, and it looks better. That's rare, but if you find a tip like that, share it with everyone. And I'm sure I'll come across a few of those tips that I've picked up along the way that I'll share with you guys. And this stream is more like a kind of a hobby hangout, so you guys can obviously talk, share your photos, but you can also look at my painting and tell me where actually there's an easier way of doing that, which will probably definitely happen with the skin, because the skin I'm definitely not doing it the easiest way. It's just the way I've done it the first time, and like now I want to kind of maintain the same process throughout. But it might actually be really nice if contrast paints make it a lot easier, because usually what I start, like I'm doing with this brown, start with a dark colour and work your way lighter, whereas the skin's a bit opposite. I'm starting quite light and then darkening it down. But that's probably a bit to do with me also having a white undercoat. To work out a little bit better on my model control, just so you can actually see I can keep things on the camera. bandages and that foot done. We'll do his little, I keep going to say toenails, but they're claws. Got little straps on this bracer, hidden away in here. Oh, there's absolutely loads of bandages here, just underneath the cloth that I almost missed. I think that's all the straps. This leaves the cloth and the mouth. So the cloth, we're going to do the same way as this guy, because these are going to be my doom bulls. I need to double check my pad. So they're quite small models, but big bases, so I'm going to probably do quite nice diorama-like bases. Well, diorama might be a bit of a strong word, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do quite cool bases for them. So I'm going to start off with Signal Blue. And again, this is mainly because my Games Workshop Blue didn't survive the winters, but I'd maybe start with a Cantor Blue, which is a bit lighter than this one. I'd probably prefer to start a bit lighter than what this is, but I'll need to pick up more blues. I have ordered more, I'm just not arrived yet. Let's pop this down here. And again, it's an air paint. The reason I quite like air paints is one advantage is they're already quite watered down. I can put them straight into an airbrush, which I do have. I don't use as often because I'm too lazy to clean it every time I bloody use it, and pulling out all the compressor and stuff. But I do like the air paints as well because they're already quite watered down. I suppose the disadvantage is because they're already watered down, you're kind of getting less paint, so you're probably best watering down those yourself. But easy was it? I'm not going to add any water to this. It's all very, very watery. As you can see, it's going to need a couple of coats for a very dark blue. I do really like this blue just going on lightly, it gives it a really crazy colour. It does look kind of like a contrast paint, doesn't it? Bit in the armour there, but we'll end up covering it. And I'm not wanting this to pull too much because it's nice thin coats. And I'll need to catch the kind of inside of the cape there as well. I don't have to do too much detail or get it perfect, but you don't want the disadvantage of priming white as you do need to put paint on every surface. If that was all black, I could probably just ignore it. It's going to be so shaded that you wouldn't even be able to tell it was supposed to be blue, but that's not the case this time. Same with the other side. Right, just as I turn the model upside down to see it, it kind of blocks from the camera, the base box camera, but it's just the little edge where the cloth meets the skin that I'm doing. There we are, we almost have all the base coats done. Now the mouth, I'm going to use Screamer Pink for a base coat. Where am I? Here we go. Don't mind if I get it on the teeth. I can go back and do them. I'm going to be jamming things in this tiger's mouth. No, not that. Won't be jamming that in a tiger's mouth. I'm smarter than that. Right, I made an arse of that, kind of got it over the face and stuff a bit, but I'll cover it up with future skin layers. So we've been streaming for about an hour and a half now. We've got our base layers done. Model's looking pretty crappy, as it always does with base layers, but we're just getting started. I think what I'll do next is I'll start putting on the kind of first washes. The skin is going to get right clean flesh shade. And what I'm doing on my palette is I'm going to try and keep my colours together here, because that way I can mix them together easier like I did with the armour. I'm going to pull it down, and I want to keep this a bit watery as well. I don't want it to go on too thick. Lots of thin coats even with the shades here, and you can see how thick you've got it on your finger, so you can kind of see how translucent that is. And where you're wanting this to pull is where the skin meets other areas like the armour. You want that kind of little contrast between those, where it meets that strap around the armour, that kind of bit. And I do want to cover the top, however I don't want it to pull there. I don't want to darken this too much yet. I'm pretty much just wanting it to bring out the details so I can see where I'm going to start layering and shade between different areas, different colours, and that's really where the model will start to pop. So you want, I think model painting's all about contrast, having nice light areas like your highlights next to dark areas, which will be these shades. So we're doing the groundwork for these really dark areas where models meet, where different parts of the model meet. parts of the face and probably this neck area will be white later on, as tigers are. But I'm going to paint it anyway, just so there's not a bit of, not an obvious area of transition where I'm like, actually I didn't want to do white on that bit, but I've not painted it. So I'm just going to do the whole, all the skin the same colour, and then I can put the white on top of it. Again, one of the advantages of having lots of nice thin coats, watered down paints. I don't want this pulling up in the eyes because we're going to paint eyes later. And if it's full of shade, we'll lose detail and it makes eye painting very hard. And eye painting's hard as it is. We don't want to make it harder for ourselves. So what you can do is just use the shade in your brush in other areas, so you've not got much left. And just put your brush in the eye and it'll just absorb it all. Brush in the eye, and it absorbs it all, and I can go back to doing like the knees. Got to get these abs nice. I spend more time on this model's abs than I have my own. I got a nice dad bod. Rocking it. Not even a dad, just rocking the body. Again, we're not looking for it to pull anywhere except where it meets another bit, so you can see that, especially in the centre of those abs, we're not getting a big pull of it there, and we're keeping it watered down so we can move it about easier. And I'm not too bothered if I get a wee bit of this watered down shade on my brown areas because it's not going to show, and we're still to paint over them anyway. So I'm being a wee bit clumsy with this, but it's probably a bad habit to get in, but I'm doing it a bit faster this time. Let's get the tail. The underside of the tail will probably be done white as well. And the bits I always miss, like the hidden bits of skin, like the hands, they're pretty much hidden. I've got the legs, inside of the leg, maybe just throw a bit of shade up here just to hit that bit. A bit of upskirt action. There we are. And that's all we need to do for the skin just now. Next up, we'll do the armour. And I'm in two minds whether to do this with Argrax Earthshade or Nuln Oil. I think I did Nuln Oil the first time, and then built it back up again, and then Argrax Earthshade for this effect. What I might do is Argrax Earthshade, and then maybe a targeted Nuln Oil in the recesses. Let's try that. We like to experiment. So we're doing the armour, so this can go in the wee armour bit. My palette, for me, this is like it's left to right here, where it's up and down for you. So I'm doing left to right, I'm writing like a English speaking, or most languages. You guys can see it as almost like a Chinese, I think. That's probably totally wrong, but up and down. I'm going to put this Argraxer shade on quite thick because I do want this to pull in like dents and cuts and around like rivets and stuff. However, I don't want it to pull where there isn't a dent or whatever, so like round here. If you can see that, that's far too much pulling around there. There's a lot of dents and stuff there, and it is pulling because of all those little dents and because of the rivets and stuff. But now, let's see if I can move the light just so you get a bit of a better view maybe. Yeah, so it's looking a lot better there. I'm going to lift some of this as well, and you're doing the same thing as what you did with the Reichland earlier. If you do put it on too thick in an area, just get rid of some of your wash elsewhere, and you can come back and just point your brush at the bits you want to lift, and it'll just suck up the excess. The same at this side as well. It's gone on quite thickly here. A little point, suck some up. If I had to do it, then I could just fire that stuff that sucked up on here, and then go back and do it. I do want this, again with these two armor plates, that shoulder pad will cover a lot of the light. So I want it quite thick in there. And I also want a wee bit of it to pull just on the skin there. Don't know if you can see that, but I've got a little pull between the armour and the skin. Nothing crazy, just a little thin line. Again, I'm building up that contrast. I like that shade. Where different parts of the model meet, you're building up that wee bit of shade, which will really pop when you start bringing in the highlights. So you can see when I'm initially going to the palette, I'll have quite a lot on my brush. So at those times, I'm kind of starting in the recesses, the bits where I want it to be a bit thicker, where there's not as much light. And then once I've spent some of it, I can just go over the flatter areas, get it on the dents, and that way I'm kind of controlling how much I'm putting on the model. Little pulls, holding the model upside down because it's kind of easier to get it to pull into these, under these armor plates. Little pull underneath this bit, because that big metal part will stop light, and a little pull on the top end as well for that contrast, and a little pull round the rivet. Do you see some of the times I'll put it on quite thickly and then I'll just push my brush very lightly back over the areas I've done to pick up like maybe the bits that I feel that's too excessive. You also notice the Argrax is taking a lot of the shine off of the armour, which with this model is quite good because I don't want shiny armour, I want it beaten in pure armour. But if you were doing, say, again like a Stormcast or Space Marine or anything, like even just swords that actually you want really nice clean cut armour, even though you'll still do the shading because you want like that contrast in it, you could go back and put the colour that you had before. So that'll be this colour here on my palette. I can go back and put that over the armour, but I'll leave the cuts, the dents, and the kind of gaps where it touches. And that way you start to build up the layers. And you can do that as many times as you want, and that will give you a very blended look. If your wash is quite watered down, you could do it quite a lot. I'd just put what you had on above it. If you quite like that colour, you don't want it to be any brighter, then you wash with a watered down wash. The more watered down the better, if you really want to do lots of layers, just so you're not creating too many pools, too many like really dark areas that just look a bit odd. And then put the one up, leaving slightly above the layer that you had done before, and then you're doing a wash very watered down, and then slightly more, and then basically you'll end up with a very blended look, and it'll look really professional, it'll look really great. I mean, I probably do about 3 layers, and that's lazy enough. I'll probably do 3 layers in these, whereas if I get to my big beast, I'll probably do lots and lots of layers, so it looks a bit more blended. But it'll be a lot more time consuming. Whereas I mean, we're just approaching an hour 50 minutes, we've kind of got our base coats done, we're starting our first washes, we're probably about halfway through this model. Doesn't look like it, but we're probably about halfway through. But if I was doing it that way, this is just the start. And it really depends how detailed you want your model to look, how much effort you want to put into your army, and really if it's a centerpiece for you as well. I'll have 3 of these guys, they'll look really good in the tabletop, but this big guy here, who will probably be my Gorgon, you see the size difference, I will put a lot more effort into that one, which I'll probably do in the stream. So I've got 3 of these guys, these 2, and I've got 1 more, which I'll maybe do. This one will probably take me today and tomorrow if I'm doing kind of 2 half streams, just because I work during the day. And then same with this one, and then kind of towards the weekend I can start my big dude, and we'll take time with him and maybe do him over a weekend. See that armor's really starting to dull down, looking pretty worn, which is exactly what we wanted. I'm going to do an Argrax shade wash on the cloth as well. That's nylon oil. I don't want nylon oil. And I'm going to put this on quite thickly because I really want this cloth to look really dark and actually very worn and manky. Because in the first stream, that's what the viewers voted for. They said, what colour do you want me to do the cloth? I might stick with red, like my other guy, and the vote was dark blue. Got to give the people what they want. And this time, the recording should be saved in Twitch as well. Twitch as well. I didn't toggle that on for the first stream, so unfortunately he's missed that. But here we are. I'm going to put a little wash in the mouth, and that's going to be. I had it here somewhere. Carlsberg Crimson. Except it's gone walkies. There we go. It's on my drawer. He's just going to get a big old mouthful of that. And the nylon oil is going to go on all my straps, bandages, and a tiny bit of wood in the model. It's when you're doing these washes where you start to realise all the parts of the model you've missed. Like this wee little bit at the bottom of the axe hasn't been washed. Little tootsies, little claws, more bandages. Claws and bandages on this side. Thanks Govat, yeah it's getting on, we're just on to the washes now. It's going a bit faster than what yesterday's one did. I think because we kind of have more of an idea of what colours I'm wanting to use, where I'm going with the model. generally just talking less crap. There we are. So we've basically done our base coats and our first wash, and that was 2 hours it took us, which is not too bad. I'd say there's probably another hour to 2 left in this model. The one that we did yesterday took us about 6 hours, but we were kind of experimenting with the colours. You can kind of see that the armour's getting there. This one's got a bit more shiny armour where we'll build it up. You can see the blue is actually not too far off, whereas this model here, the skin's a lot more orange as well, so we'll start transitioning to more orangey skin. You can see that originally it was quite yellow, and now it is a kind of darkish yellow, a dirty yellow, so we are kind of working towards there anyway. But on the tail as well, we'll do the underneath white. We'll do white on the fur around the face, like an actual real tiger, underneath in the chin, and we'll probably do the neck as well, white. And then we'll do the cool stripes. So we've got some more layers, a few more washes, and then we'll start doing the cool details like the white and the stripes on this. And we'll do that tomorrow. That'll probably be about 6 o'clock GMT that I'll do that. And the obligatory cat cam. Flip him around the right way. Nope. There we are. There he is. Just chilling. Lazy boy. That's us. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you tomorrow. And keep on hobbying. Bye.